Anita Bonds, Chairperson of the Committee on Executive Administration and Labor, and the time is almost 3:50 p.m. on Tuesday, June 17th, 2025, and we are meeting in person in the Council Hearing Room 120 and virtually via Zoom to convene the committee's budget oversight hearing of 2025. It is our final budget oversight hearing, and I'm so pleased to have you with us. We also will be streamed and recorded on the committee's YouTube channel named EAL Committee. Today, we are going to hear from the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, the Mayor's Office of Community Partnerships, and the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Partnerships. These three offices are responsible for outreach and coordination of efforts to diverse communities within the District of Columbia. They include the Office of LGBTQ Affairs, the Office of Returning Citizens Affairs, the Office of Veterans Affairs, the Office of Clean City, amongst others. These offices fall under different committees within the District Council, depending on their area of focus, but all operate within the Executive Office of the Mayor, known as the EOM. We are joined today by the two of the offices within the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs and the Mayor's Office of Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs. And I would also will recognize my colleague. I thought he may have arrived. That is Councilmember Fruman, who indicated he would be here when he arrives. And the reason for the meeting today is because the Committee on Executive Administration and Labor that I chair is you have the Committee on Human Services that Councilmember Fruman chairs. And so he has oversight over many of the offices as well as I currently, but once we come together, we'll all be together and continue to work together. So I just wanted to put that on the record. So today, I think what we will do is hear from our public witnesses, if we have public witnesses. Right. I'm turning to my agenda. I have Elisa, yes. Albert, Abel, Nunez, Janae Hernandez, how about Allison Brooks? Carolyn Mack? Rebecca Mandela? Okay. Adam Prinzel? All right, we're going to start with you. We were trying to go down the list, and I know that many maybe have departed. It's been a while. Please proceed and give us your name.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Bonds. My name is Alicia Yas, and I thank you for the opportunity to present this testimony today on behalf of the American Civil Liberties Union of the District of Columbia, known as the ACLU-DC, with over 14,000 members and supporters in all 8 wards. The ACLU-DC is committed to working to dismantle systemic racism, safeguard fundamental liberties, and advocate for sensible, evidence-based reforms. And this should be reflected in both the district's policies and budget. Our testimony today addresses our key recommendations regarding the district's fiscal year 2026 budget for the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs, also known as Moca. Currently, Moca is largely comprised of 13 community affairs offices that represent many of the intersectional needs of DC's residents. Having distinct offices for various community groups, it serves, and it gives them several important functions. Staff with cultural competency for the residents it serves. It represents and responds to concerns of the residents it serves with both the mayor and DC agencies. And it administers local grant funds to community-based organizations that are specific to the needs of each group. This connection between DC residents belonging to vulnerable groups and the executive office of the mayor is vital to making sure these groups are heard, particularly at a time when many of them are being targeted by the federal government. For example, I'm going to look to the mayor's office of LGBTQ+ affairs, although that is by no means the only group within the office that we care about. The LGBTQ+ affairs office within Moca plays a unique and irreplaceable role in delivering services that meet the specific needs of DC's LGBTQ+ residents. From housing support and community grant making to culturally competent trainings and emergency coordination, these services are tailored, effective, and grounded in trust built over years of direct engagement. LGBTQ+ community-based organizations carry out many trusted services due in part to grant funding from this offices. An example of this is the Violence Prevention and Response Team, which coordinates responses to instances of violence, creates awareness, educates the community, and connects victims to resources, provides training, and enhances response to crimes. Sustaining support for this type of work is essential as we face rising anti-LGBTQ+ policy nationally, leading to greater risk to this community. Similar things can be said for each of the offices within Moca, which also includes the Office of African Affairs, African American Affairs, Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs, Caribbean Affairs, Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing, Latino Affairs, Religious Affairs, Returning Citizens Affairs, Veterans Affairs, and Women's Policy and Initiatives. All of these constituencies are vital to DC. In the mayor's proposed FY26 budget, these individual offices appear to be combined. This raises many concerns, particularly since little information has been shared with the public as to what this reorganization would look like. A combined and reduced staff is unlikely to have the cultural competencies for all the 13 constituencies that are currently served. This would weaken the relationship with these communities and weaken their sense of connection to the DC government. It would also hamper the ability of Moca to provide cultural competency training to DC government agencies. Further, it is unclear how the grants would be administered with this change in place. Currently, each office administers grants for its community. These grants allow community-based organizations to provide vital services. If the money is pooled, then everyone will lose, as more organizations will be competing for a smaller pot of money. And the award determinations will further be challenged if staff does not have knowledge and expertise on each of the communities that are applying for grant dollars. Many people choose to make DC their home because we are a city known for being supportive and welcoming. The diverse offices within Moca are a representation of this value, and withdrawing the support for that link between these communities and the executive would be highly detrimental, particularly at a time when we see the federal government withdrawing from or outright targeting many of these vulnerable populations. We hope the council will consider this common value of inclusivity when finalizing the budget for Moca for FY26. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Anita Bonds and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. My name is Abel Nunez. I am the Executive Director of the Central American Resource Center, CARECEN, and I speak on behalf of CARECEN and the DC Values Coalition. Together, we work every day alongside thousands of DC residents whose lives are shaped by the Council's policy decisions, especially those navigating legal instability, economic vulnerability, and limited access to information due to language or systemic barriers. We are deeply committed to building a DC where every resident, no matter their background, zip code, or primary language, can live with dignity, security, and opportunity. To do that, we need public institutions that meet people where they are. That's why we're here today, to lift up the essential work of the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, MOLA, and other constituency offices. All of the offices serve as direct connections between government and the residents, but also provide funds to serve them. So we call for continued investment and visibility on these programs. We recognize that the proposed restructuring of MOLA and the other constituency offices under the executive administration is part of the district's response to an evolving federal orders meant to impose the administration's priorities. We understand that adaptation is necessary. However, what cannot be lost in these transitions are the trusted functions, relationships, and accessibility that offices like MOLA provide, functions that cannot simply be replaced by centralization. MOLA is not just an office, it is a touchstone for the communities it serves. It is a trusted space where residents are seen, heard, and supported. Though MOLA support, Carecen and our coalition partners have provided free, low-cost legal services, hosted Know Your Rights trainings, facilitated language access, and ensure that neighbors in all 8 wards are informed, empowered, and protected. Let me offer just a few concrete examples. Recently, a DC resident, limited English proficient, and working in hospitality, delivering food, was assaulted in what can only be described as a hate incident. Through Carecen's and with the support of MOLA funding, the neighbor received legal representation and ongoing support. He's still working, still contributing, and now better protected. In another case, a survivor of domestic violence came to us unsure of their rights, fearful of seeking help due to her legal status. She was referred to Carecen, connected to trauma-informed advocates, and received assistance filing reports, applying for relief, and securing a work permit. Today, she is on a path to self-sufficiency and safety. And there are countless others, workers, parents, small business owners, students, seniors, who depend on MOLA's ecosystem of services. These aren't abstract services. They are very real interventions that prevent homelessness, violence, and exploitation. Our call to the council today is not simply about resisting a restructuring. It's about ensuring that the functions, funding, and visibility of MOLA remain community-facing and well-resourced, so that when a resident needs help, they still know where to turn, that MOLA's phone number still works, that its staff can still show up physically and culturally present in these spaces that matter most. We respectfully urge the council to, 1, fully fund MOLA and the other constituency offices in the FY26 budget and beyond. We wanted to ensure that any structural changes do not dilute MOLA's direct connection to community members or diminish its ability to administer critical grants. Recognize this moment as an opportunity to deepen, not distance, the district's relationship with vulnerable communities. Budgets reflect our values. And in a time when national policies are shifting, it is more important than ever for local government to hold the line on equity, access, and justice. The residents we serve and serve alongside deserve nothing less. Thank you for your time and your continued partnership in building a more inclusive, accountable DC for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Do we have? All right. We have Adam Prinzel. He's online. Yes, I see he's there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Bonds. My name is Commissioner for 3CO2, which is Western Woodley Park. I'm speaking to you today in my role as a commissioner and not on behalf of ANC 3C. I am here to express my strong support for the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. Commissioners serve, as most of you all know, as volunteered elected officials balancing full-time jobs, families, friends, responding to day-to-day needs of our neighbors. Mocrs assist us in making that possible. They are responsive, effective, and know how to get things done. Here in Ward 3, we are fortunate to have our Mocr, Kendall. Kendall is available nearly 24/7, and she and her liaison, Owen Cox, have gone above and beyond, and they once physically shoveled the Connecticut Avenue Bridge in a snowstorm so pedestrians could safely cross when DPW was delayed. Kendall has also been instrumental in helping me support our local businesses during a lapse in the Woodley Park Main Streets program. And unlike some of our past Mocrs, Kendall and Owen are a consistent presence, not just at RANC or other local community meetings, but are also in and around the ward nearly every day. Mocrs help make the role of an ANC more impactful, and we thank you for supporting this vital office and for your service to the District of Columbia.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We have a few more public witnesses. Maria, Fernanda, all right. Raisa Gonzalez. We'll take your testimony as well. All right. And
Good afternoon, Council Member Bonds. My name is Maria Fernanda Borja. I am the President and CEO of the Latino Student Fund. The LSF was founded in 1994 to address disparities in access to education for underrepresented students in Washington, D.C., and has since served more than 11,000 youth across its programs. The mission of the LSF is to provide opportunities for a strong academic foundation for underserved pre-K to 12th grade students and their families to promote higher education and professional leadership. The organization provides year-round out-of-school time programs for low-income, at-risk students and their families with the goal of increasing levels of educational attainment in the community. The Mayor Office on Latino Affairs partnership with the LSF has been instrumental in the sustainability and growth of our services. MOLA's continued support has allowed the LSF to significantly increase its efficacy and accelerate the social impact of our programs. It is instrumental to receive MOLA funding as it's allowed to us to continue and expand this critical work. The support of MOLA has allowed the LSF to grow and adapt its programs to better serve the evolving needs of underrepresented students and families in the district. The LSF has over 30 years of experience providing cultural and linguistical appropriate educational out-of-school time programs and informational outreach services for students and families in the metropolitan DC area. The Mayor Office on Latino Affairs has allowed the LSF to continue expanding and modifying its programs to meet the changing needs of our target audience. MOLA support has helped ensure equal access to the best educational opportunities to DC students and equip them with the tools needed to thrive in the U.S. educational system. Approximately 160 high school students who participate in the LSF Post-Secondary Success Program this year are one step closer to higher education. Juan Jr., a junior, never envisioned college as a part of his future due to the financial hardship and uncertain immigration status. His perspective shifted after joining the LISTO program and hearing stories of the community leaders who have the same life experience as him. Him sparked a sense of hope and a vision he hadn't felt before. Juan began to actively participate in every session of our programs, eager to get on the path of college. He dedicated extra hours to studying, seeking help for teachers, and making use of the tutoring resources to improve his grades in preparation for college applications. The LSF was founded upon the vision of equal access to education, and beyond that, academic excellence, higher education, and professional leadership for youth. We depend on the generosity of institutions like MOLA, who help make the vision reality. We are honored to be part of MOLA's legacy and grateful to MOLA for investing in our work and thus investing in the future of the youth. We need MOLA continued support to keep helping our community and meeting the growing needs of the students and families we serve. Thank you.
thank you very much for your testimony. Next.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and it's beautiful everything that you share with us today. My name is Raisa Gonzalez, CEO of Global Couture US, an organization dedicated to supporting artisans and designers. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the Latinos Affairs Office for the invaluable help and connecting us with local business that need support to develop new ideas and grow their brands. Thanks to their support, our company is thriving. We are now collaborating with partners in 15 countries who share our mission and uplifting local artists in the fashion industry. The Latinos Affairs Office is making a real difference by empowering local entrepreneurs, strengthening the creativity community, and today I'm excited to share some great news. Thanks to MOLA, we now have confirmed date October 25, for a special event that will bring together representatives from 15 countries, 20 local artists. This event will showcase the incredible talent and creativity that exists right here in Washington, D.C. It's a celebration of culture, art, and opportunity that we are proud to be part of.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that announcement. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you all very much for your testimony. I think today we are understanding more and more the value of our cultural competencies that we have within our government and that we share throughout our city. So I appreciate hearing from you. I will ask just a few questions. Ms. Yas, you mentioned grants administration. You're very concerned about that. Have you experienced or heard of experiences where the grants process has been discontinued or failed in some way?
No, our concern is for moving forward in the future. If the grants are pooled under Moca generally, rather than separated into the individual community offices, that could lead to an increased level of competition among different groups, and then staff may not have the cultural competency, as you mentioned, to be able to address all of those various different groups' concerns if they are lumped together rather than being continuing to be separated as they are now.
All right, and your experience has been primarily with LGBTQ office?
So the ACLU-DC does not currently receive any grants. So we
understand.
have not
No, I'm
experienced that side.
not suggesting that, but I'm trying to, I hear your concern and I'm trying to understand if there has been some information in the past that might lead you to believe that grants are going to be pooled and somehow limited. And that's what I'm trying to understand. And we'll talk to the administrators about that, but I'm just curious if there is something that we at the council need to be alerted to.
Absolutely. We have been in conversation with many community partners who do receive grants, and there is that concern based on how the budget, the mayor's proposed budget was written, which was zeroing out of the individual offices' budgets and saying they were going to be combined within Moca. So that is the concern. There was no explanation given for what would happen to the grants, but the natural conclusion from that in the proposed budget is that there would be one pool of grant money.
All right, that's far-reaching. Thank you. I appreciate understanding it better. And thank you all for your testimony. You've given us some excitement for October 2025. All right, that's excellent. And I wanted to ask a little bit about your program. How many young people in the district have participated to date in your program?
Around 11,000 students since we founded in we were founded in 1994. And we have received the support from MOLA since maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And how many young people are you working with currently during this FY25 year?
In this current year, we're working with around 1,000 students, and we are 200 students are from College High School and Cardoso High School that are partners schools.
See, I'm learning about that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's very, and so you receive a grant from the local, from the government, correct?
Yes, we received the grant from MOLA.
All right. And so have there been any indications that there would be, that it might be discontinued or?
Right now, no, but usually at this time of the year, there is the RFA. So we are planning to apply, but we haven't received any notice about that yet.
Okay. Thank you. trying to figure it out, how we're going to make it work. Any issues, sir? Mr. Nunez?
Yeah, we're a current recipient of MOLA's community grant for our citizenship program. And I think to her point is as the changes are still unfolding and the council is still yet to approve and then eventually the Congress approve the budget, there is no processes for us to even apply. So prior to this, all of the agencies had their portals. We would get announcements of when those portals would open, deadlines by when we needed to submit our applications, and then a timeline by which decisions were made. To date, we have no information as to what's going to happen because we don't know that there's not going to be a MOLA if the budget is approved as presented by the mayor. And so even if it's moved, there's no clarity how where they sit, how are they going to process, given that it's a pool money before each of the constituency offices had their own granting capabilities. And so I think that they were also very well connected to community and they understood who the organizations were that had an impact in those specific communities. And so, our concern is that if it's just move, and we understand that there's restructuring given the current federal administration and what they're imposing on the city, but at the end of the day, we want to be able to have the funds to serve community. And at this moment, there is no clarity. There's no information of how much money is available, how we can apply, if there's a portal, if anything. There's no information at this moment. Again, I know that the council is still going through its process of approving a final budget, and that will set the agencies their ability. But the other concern is that each agency had expertise, cultural competencies about how to fund money. We don't know what that's going to look like in the new configuration. And so it is concerning because we're all going to be learning at the same time, and that could lead to delays in funding and our ability to serve our community.
I really appreciate your remarks. I think they bring home not just the concerns, but it informs the government of those things that we have to pay a lot of attention to. As you were talking, I can see the laundry list of agencies and think about each one having their own process and trying to bring them together so that we have one process. Could be one way in which the granting process will continue. It could be that this is an administrative determination, bringing everyone together. And therefore, each entity, each commission will move forward, each office will move forward as they have. We don't know. We're going to hear from the mayor's direct representative, the chief of staff, and she'll inform us. So that's why we're here today. So thank you. Thank you very much to this panel. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Prezzo. I did that.
Oh, you did.
Mhm, yeah. Yes. I'll ask, are there any public witnesses that I did not call that there are some online?
They need to accept the phone list.
Okay.
So
Yes, please take to the witness stand, please, and identify. Oh, we have 4. They must not have heard. 5. Okay. Right. 4. You have 1? All right. I think we have 1 additional witness that may be online, but they have to accept the invitation in order to come through, and that has not yet happened. So if you're in touch with them, someone indicated that there's someone online, please let them know they have to accept the invite so we can move them into the room. and receive their testimony. All right. Okay. All right. Ms. Mack has joined us online. Ms. Mack, we will take your testimony. You have to unmute yourself. Okay, great. We see you now.
Mhm. Hello, I was just wanted to thank our Ward 4 Mocrs for everything they're doing in our neighborhood to assist with us. We have, as our group, we have given out scholarships and they're attending the meeting. They're keeping us abreast of what's going on with the Latino affairs, with the mayor group, and everything that's happening. Every time we're sponsoring something, our Mocrs are there to support us. So I just wanted to come in and thank them for helping out Ward 4 and all that we do in Reeves Park.
Well, thank you very much. Ward 4 Riggs Park. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for that message. All right, now we're going to hear from our panelists that are here with us. Give us your name so that we'll have and please begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairperson Bond and Councilmember Fruman, for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Sandra Benavente, and I'm Ayuda's Advocacy Manager. Ayuda is grateful to have been one of the nonprofit recipients of legal services grant funding administered by the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs for both our language access and legal services programs since 2020. We joined the DC Values Coalition in urging the Council to maintain this critical source of funding as we strive to meet the growing demand for comprehensive legal services and equitable language access across the district. As immigrant residents of the district face an ever-changing legal landscape, access to legal counsel and the language access to ensure it is fully equitable are more critical now than ever. Ayuda's legal services help low-income clients identify pathways to stability and safety via legal consultation and legal representation. Our community legal interpreter bank ensures that Ayuda and other MOLA grantees have access to professional language services for interpretation and document translation so that these critical services are available to everyone, regardless of the language they use to communicate. In FY24, through this funding, our legal team provided Know Your Rights presentations to 174 attendees and legal services to 72 clients. In FY24, Ayuda's Community Legal Interpreter Bank filled 315 requests for interpretation for grantees seeking to communicate with deaf or limited English proficient clients, as well as provided 152 different document translations. Ayuda is part of the DC Values Coalition, a network of legal service providers based in the district who are committed to ensuring we continue to respond effectively to the communities we serve during these challenging and uncertain times. We know many of our neighbors came to the district fleeing high levels of violence, crime, natural disasters, food insecurity, and poverty. They face incredibly difficult barriers and become integral, valuable members to our communities. Ayuda joins the DC Values Coalition in asking the Council to safeguard this critical funding from MOLA so that our legal services programs and the Community Legal Interpreter Bank can continue helping our clients navigate the complex legal system. We ask the Council to increase funding from $3.5 million in FY25 to $7 million in FY26, which will help providers rise to this unprecedented moment and better respond to the increased need as well as the increased cost associated with providing our low barrier services. Our programs help all residents access justice and thereby access educational and workforce opportunities, safety, and stability for themselves and their families. Please help us keep these critical programs afloat. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next. Now
Sorry.
you're on. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Matt Farman and Chairwoman Barnes and the committee for this opportunity to comment on the value of Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs, MOLA. This is who serves our 8 wards. My name is Santa Lopez. Again, I'm a resident of Chevy Chase, Ward 4 in Washington, D.C. Currently, I am a decade-long full-time, non-paid community volunteer and outreach coordinator. As such, as I often provide support and volunteer to MOLA at various community events, including but not limited to MOLA-sponsored and assisted community fairs, food distributions, and more. I am a success story of about to be half a century old OLA, now MOLA. One of Mayor Berry's great remaining legacies. My mother sponsored me to the US in 1973. I soon myself became a parent in 1977. In 1982 and 1984, I pursued paralegal CIDA work study programs at local nonprofit, Ayuda, one of them, Antioch School of Law, currently UDC Law School. These programs were created in part through MOLA's efforts. Later in 1986, I obtained my second DC government job through OLA's referral. I reached out to one of my teachers from the nonprofit program who was then working at OLA. The Civilian Complaint Review Board, CCRB, contacted MOLA to seek assistance with locating a bilingual investigator, a difficult find. In 1981, during the Mount Pleasant riots, because of my bilingual abilities, I served as liaison between the CCRB's board and the community to organize a forum to inform the community of our existence. But our work was minimal compared to the liaison work MOLA did to resolve the issues that gave rise to such disturbing events. The community had been terribly oppressed, especially by the police, and they revolted when they witnessed a police officer shooting a man from behind his back. When I learned of MOLA's proposed defunding and ending of its independence, my story and those unfortunate events immediately came to mind. If MOLA is no longer an independent agency or have a budget, how can it be empowered to help should any catastrophic event were to occur? Unfortunately, the Latino community is being targeted by the federal administration. MOLA must be part of and remain in close contact with the community to stay informed and retain trust. I possess firsthand knowledge of MOLA's open door policy, hard work, and best practice community engagement. MOLA is well known and trusted. If MOLA staff is prevented from its ability to fully engage with the Latino community will likely resent it. MOLA is the to-go for help specialty when out of options. Thus, every effort must be made to empower MOLA with independence and adequate budget to continue its essential work. Ousting MOLA could have dire and detrimental consequences as the community, senior citizens, parents, students, teachers, non- and for-profit businesses will face a shutdown when seeking help. MOLA was created out of necessity through the District of Columbia Latino Community Development Act, DC Law 1-86, effective September 29, 1976. The proposed dismantling could be viewed as by the Latino community as a federal government dodge type action. I thank you for the opportunity to testify. I apologize if my comments sounded harsh, but I am advocating with all of us in mind. My concerns are based on reality of the reality of the Latino community. I am sensitive to the budgetary and hard pressure, constraints, and difficulties that our beloved DC is facing. God help us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Councilmember Bonds and Chairman Fruman for the opportunity to testify today. I know, Councilmember Bonds, you have been extremely involved with the Latino community for many, many years that I have known you. And we want to thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do for this community, for our community. My name is Rebecca Medrano. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Gala Hispanic Theater, one of the nation's oldest and most recognized Latino organizations. I want to start by allowing one of our students to speak. I think that's a more powerful testimony, and then I'll complete mine. And so I'll turn it over to Angie, who is a Paso Nuevo student. Go for it, Angie.
All right. Hi, my name is Angie Lowell. I'm 18 years old and I'm a junior in high school and I'm a Paso Nuevo student. But the person you see now is not who I always been. Hace exactamente un año mi vida cambió por completo y para siempre. Pues me mudé a Washington, D.C. en busca de una mejor oportunidad para mi vida. I was like a shadow, there but invisible to everyone. Cuando llegué a DC, escuché acerca de Paso Nuevo y acerca de Mola. I thought I was not good as them, and so there were no possibilities for me to join, and I had a lot of questions. Hasta que un día decidí enfrentar mis miedos. I decided to confront my fears and visit Paso Nuevo, then I tried Mola. I was received like no one had ever done in this country. I felt I could be myself in Paso Nuevo. Aprendí muchas cosas. I learned many things that I didn't know I wanted and I needed to learn. I learned many things that I wouldn't have the opportunity to learn somewhere else. Mola gave me the opportunity to do what I really like to do and also get paid for it. Now, I'm so appreciative of Paso Nuevo and Mola for helping me and being there all the time. How many kids out there are still feeling what I once felt? Hoy yo vengo a darles un mensaje. You're the reason why programs like Mola and Paso Nuevo exist. You are not alone. You matter. Paso Nuevo is here and I'm sure they will welcome you with open arms just as they once welcomed me. And I will always be grateful for that. Gracias a ustedes, a la alcaldesa, a los maestros y a nuestros directores. Y estos programas que siguen apoyándonos, puedo decir que he logrado cosas que jamás imaginé. Thank you all. I promise I won't be the last young person you help. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you, Angie. And so I'm here today also to strongly encourage the City Council to maintain or even grow the budget for MOLA if possible in 2026 to meet the growing needs of the community. For more than 25 years, Gala has been a recipient of MOLA grants that have made it possible for us to serve hundreds of at-risk youth through our Paso Nuevo after-school program and summer intensive camps, programs that are provided free of cost to all participants and their families. Paso Nuevo provides a safe and creative environment in which young people explore their identity, express their concerns and hopes, while at the same time acquiring valuable skills in communication, teamwork, and literacy that encourage them to stay in school, improve their academic performance, and provide them workforce skills that make them competitive in the job market. Many of the students first entering the program are either on the verge of dropping out of high school or performing below grade average, and many have to work part-time jobs after school to support their families. In 2012, Paso Nuevo was recognized with the National Arts and Humanities Youth Award, the nation's highest award for out-of-school programs, by Michelle Obama at the White House. Without support from MOLA, we will not be able to keep our doors open for all of these youth who have nowhere else to go after school and for whom it is critical to have programs that are conducted in Spanish and bilingually to address their language needs. Also, with support from MOLA, we serve over 8,000 high school and elementary students per year from every ward in the city through our student matinee programs. These weekday programs introduce students to live Spanish language and bilingual theater, giving them linguistic and cultural skills that expand their learning opportunities and also connect them to their heritage language and their own heritage. Many are being raised by single parents or by grandmothers who do not speak English and who have a different cultural context. MOLA provides a lifeline to the youth and families who benefit. The children and youth who come every day during the school year and every day in the summer face violence in the home and on the streets on a regular basis. Now they face the threat of ICE. And this is a very real situation we have now at Gala. We have to hide kids out. If kids are afraid to come, their families are afraid to attend. It's a lot of extra work for us to provide security, to provide lawyers. But at Gala, they feel safe. They discovered an extended family and they receive constant encouragement and mentoring. These critical programs are made possible only with the support of MOLA. I do want to recognize the hard work and leadership of Eduardo Perdomo and the whole staff of MOLA. And I believe an investment in this office now will reap twice the return and ensure the full participation of our youth. I'm totally aware of the mayor's issues of and the difficulties of balancing budgets and the difficult situation that the council faces. But I have been witness in the past, and you might have asked this, Anita, too. The K-Fritz Foundation tried a similar thing when they came to me and they said, we want to do a block grant for all of the Latino agencies, for Ayuda, for Arisen, for Gala. And I looked at them and I said, that won't work because we'll all get a smaller piece of the pie. And every agency does something different. And that is why it's so important for MOLA to maintain its identity, because they do have the cultural expertise, they do have the knowledge, they have the deep, deep relationships with the community that they've nurtured over 25 years. We are, as I said, very understanding of the pressures, but these are our recommendations, and I thank you for letting me testify.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony. My questions would be pretty much the same, but before I ask those of you, I want to certainly acknowledge my committee member, Councilmember Matt Fruman, and he actually enjoys with me having some of your agencies in our committee currently during this FY season. So he may have some remarks and some questions. Council member?
Well, I'll offer some remarks. I chair the Committee on Human Services and have oversight over MOLA and Mocp, and both of those agencies provide critical services to district residents. Both agencies spur economic development, celebrate cultural diversity, and provide language appropriate services and resources through their grant. I'm concerned about the Budget Support Act's consolidation of cultural affairs agencies within the Executive Office of the Mayor, and worry that it will leave out some community partners who rely on MOLA and Mocp to meet the needs of district residents, and without on its face saving money or realizing efficiencies. These are things that I'll be asking the government witnesses about the community organizations that rely on MOLA and Mocp grants need to know whether they will still be able to apply for funds that sustain their work and support their thriving communities. All district residents deserve to know whether the mayor's proposed reorganization better supports our cultural affairs agencies and the rationale for consolidating previously independent organizations that the council voted to establish in 8 different statutes. Part of what makes the district so special is the diverse quilt of cultures that come together to build it up. We have so much to gain when we celebrate the diversity of our residents and support the cultures that bring us together as one truly unique district. And I'm concerned about what this step is going to do to our celebration of that quilt. We all turn up in all different kinds of places and participate in celebrations and events that are led by these agencies, and we want to see that continue. So getting to a better understanding of how this is all supposed to work so we're stronger after this reorganization, I think is important and on the minds of everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your remarks. I do want to make sure that I captured the number of individuals that each of your organizations are working with. I know you're a volunteer, but I know you're working with a number of organizations as well. So I'll start with you. If you can talk to us about the legal service.
So over the 50 years that we've operated in DC, we've served over 4,000
immigrant residents. In the last fiscal year alone, the numbers I cited were 174 attendees of our Know Your Rights presentations, 72 clients received legal services, and then our interpreter bank filled 315 requests for interpretation and 152 document translations. That's for all grantees of IHLS funding.
All right, and so your grant comes directly from the Office of Latino Affairs?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And the grant that you currently are engaged in, is it more than it in 2024 or less than 2024?
The FY25 total is 3.5 million, and I believe that's the same as what all grantees received in FY24.
All right. That helps. I just want to, so we'll have something to compare.
Yeah, we're unsure of where that has landed. I believe we last heard it said 3 million this year, FY26, but we are also here to confirm that.
All right, thank you very much. And to the Gala Theater. I think you already gave us some numbers.
Yeah.
8,000 students served.
Well, there are two programs that
All
MOLA
right.
currently funds. One is the after-school year-round program that goes from, September, October through the school year. And then we have the summer program. It's continued. And that program supports between 75, maybe 100. In the summer, we get 35 kids. Other sessions will get between 25 and 30. There are 3 sessions a year, and sometimes kids transition in and out. But you could say between 75, 80 a year for that program. The school matinees have been since the pandemic. Pre-pandemic, they were very high, those figures. Then, of course, the pandemic, there weren't school trips. But now they're back up again. And so this past year, we served about 7,500, almost 8,000. We're predicting for next year, between elementary schools, which is Galita, and the high schools. And that program is also supported by MOLA, that includes creating bilingual study guides, distributing them to all the schools, talking to the schools. We don't arrange transportation, which is still an issue in the city, as everybody knows, bus transportation, but the schools come because there aren't any other opportunities for them. There's so many, either bilingual or Spanish language immersion schools, especially for the little ones. And they have more time to leave school. That for them, it's an incredible experience. I love seeing them come. It's my favorite program, and they get so much out of it. They stay for post-performance discussions. They ask questions. They get involved, and it also serves each. I think last year was over 300 or 400 teachers as well. Maybe 100. It was like 300 teachers from high school and 150 teachers from elementary schools that also attend as chaperones.
All right, the level of your grant, your current grant, is it one grant for the 3?
It's one
different
grant
things?
for all of those programs, and it's always been stable, and it's still the same amount of money, no matter how many more kids we serve. Limited budget, but we supplement it with private funds and funds from OST and other places. But it's been a staple, and one of the first that we received for these kinds of programs.
All right, and your grant is 3.5?
No, ours is 50,000. I wish, hey. 5? What happened? I'm missing some decimals.
Thank you for that. It sounds like a lot of work, a lot of excitement for the young people.
You ought to come, be part of it.
Yes,
We have
yes.
adults who actually don't want to come at night. They want to come and sit with the students. Yeah, because of
may have some-
the
Some
excitement.
volunteers for you
Okay,
from my family that may want. to.
absolutely.
Yes.
Send them
All right,
over.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And it's so nice to meet you, Angie, and you're an inspiration, I believe, to many in our city, our young people. So keep it moving, and when you're ready to have an internship doing something else, come see me, because I like internships with our young people. Most
And she's
definitely.
going to Canada for an exchange program this
Oh,
summer.
yeah, so yeah, not this year, some other time. I hope you enjoy, most definitely. And thank you very much for your testimony. Matt, do you want to speak to?
No, I want to thank all the panelists
Okay.
for all the great work that you do. Love the theater. I love all the programs. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. I think we have exhausted our public witnesses, and today is a great opportunity for this committee, with help from the Committee on Human Services chairperson, to learn what this really means. And so we're all ears. And so now I'd like to call to forward Lindsay Parker, who is the Chief of Staff for the Executive Office of the Mayor. And she may be joined by a few individuals. I believe that Jackie Reyes will join her, and Phil Thomas for sure. And thank you very much to all of you for being here. And because of the fluid of the time, we're all kind of compressed. So I hope you all will bear with us, and as we try to get through this process. Raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony that you give before us today to be truthful and correct? I do. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we'll take your testimony when you're ready.
Well, good afternoon, Chairperson
Good afternoon.
Bonds, Councilmember Fruman, members of the committee, staff, and the public. I'm Lindsay Parker, Chief of Staff to Mayor Muriel Bowser. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today in support of Mayor Bowser's Grow DC FY26 budget proposal, particularly as it pertains to the Executive Office of the Mayor and the proposed structure of our community affairs offices, which is not too different from the structure we have today, and I'll get into that a little bit more. As you know, the district faces both opportunities and challenges in the years ahead. The FY26 budget reflects Mayor Bowser's commitment to fiscal responsibility while prioritizing critical investments that will help grow DC's economy and support our residents. Despite a challenging revenue outlook, driven largely by federal job losses and a shifting economic landscape, the mayor has put forward a balanced approach that prioritizes education, continued investments in our public schools, early childhood education and tutoring programs to ensure that every child in the district has the opportunity to succeed. Secondly, she's investing in clean and safe communities, strengthening public safety through strategic investments in the Metropolitan Police Department, our 911 call takers, and initiatives that keep our neighborhoods clean, healthy, and vibrant. The growth agenda, a targeted focus on attracting high growth industries, supporting small businesses, and making the district an attractive place for companies to invest and grow. This includes bold proposals, such as a redevelopment of the RFK site to bring the Washington Commanders back to DC, stimulating local economic activity and job creation. As you know, federal job losses, estimated at approximately 40,000 DC residents over the next 4 years, are having a significant impact on the district's economy, especially on office occupancy, our local spending, and our tax revenues. These losses are contributing to the projected $1 billion budget shortfall by FY29 that the CFO predicts. The FY26 budget includes strategic investments that position the district for long-term success while maintaining a balanced budget. The FY25, in FY26, the budget and financial plan is made up of $21.8 billion in operating funds and $9.6 billion in capital improvement funds. The Executive Office of the Mayor plays a pivotal role in coordinating and implementing the mayor's priorities across the district. In FY26, as I've testified previously, EOM's proposed budget is $31 million. These allocations support EOM's mission to provide leadership, strategic direction, and oversight to help deliver on our commitments to DC residents. The budget also supports the staff needed to deliver on those priorities, with 170 FTEs targeted for FY26. The increase in operating budget and FTEs for FY26 is primarily due to the consolidation of several community affairs offices previously budgeted in separate budget chapters, but all still reporting into the Executive Office of the Mayor. As this is the subject of today's hearing, we're going to focus on this restructuring. The restructuring brings staff and resources under one administrative umbrella to better coordinate community engagement and support the mayor's initiatives in education, public safety, and that economic growth I talked about earlier. Importantly, despite this consolidation, the overall total FTE count for these functions across all budget chapters actually just reflects a net reduction of 4.5 FTEs from eliminated vacancies. So all staff will remain, all offices will remain intact. So demonstrating the administration's commitment to operational efficiency, we're trying to pare down the number of people needed, but those are vacant positions, and I can get into those 4.5 FTEs further if you would like. A key component of the mayor's commitment to community engagement is the proposed restructuring, as I've talked about. It builds on our commitment to ensure that every resident and every community has a direct line to the mayor's office. So under this new structure that is really not so different than the current structure, the existing 16 community affairs offices will be organized into 3 strategic teams to better align the administration's priorities and improve coordination. So the first team is the community relations team, led by Director Phil Thomas, here on my right. And the team will serve as the central point of contact for resident concerns, as the Mocrs have done for the past 20 years. Facilitate direct engagement between district leadership and neighborhoods to address issues, provide resources, and foster stronger civic participation. Additionally, these offices now in one shop will provide essential connections to residents on key quality of life issues that we've heard about from numbers of ANC commissioners and residents across the city, including our faith-based partners and our business and nightlife related communities. So the community relations team will continue its ward by ward and block by block approach in strengthening communities with the addition of these liaisons with the business community, clean city volunteers, and that religious community. The offices and agencies under this team include, as I've said, the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, better known as Mocrs, the Mayor's Office of Clean City, the Mayor's Office of Religious Affairs, and the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture. The Cultural Affairs team and the Community Partnership team that I'll talk about next will both be led by Director Jackie Reyes, here to my left, who is the current Mayor's Office of Community Affairs Director. So it's still going to be Moca. Now it'll be the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs. And she'll lead both the Cultural Affairs team as well as that Community Partnerships team. So let me describe what those teams will do. So the Cultural Affairs team is dedicated to serving specific cultural and identity-based communities. By centralizing these offices under Cultural Affairs, the administration aims to better coordinate outreach, amplify cultural initiatives, and ensure each community's unique needs and contributions are recognized and supported. The agencies and offices under this team include the Mayor's Office on African Affairs, the Mayor's Office on African American Affairs, the Mayor's Office on Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs, the Mayor's Office on Caribbean Community Affairs, the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs, and the Mayor's Office on LGBTQ Affairs. And then that third tranche, that third team, also led by Jackie, is going to focus on building and strengthening relationships with the philanthropic sector, volunteer organizations, and external partners, while also supporting targeted services for specific populations. So this team is going to secure and mobilize volunteers, resources, and strategic partners to support our community initiatives, ensuring that the district has the tools necessary to thrive. So this approach leverages public-private collaboration to enhance services, supports nonprofit organizations, and create sustainable impact which I'd love to get more into in the Q&A, including the team responsible for helping Moca with their grant program. And I'll talk about that in just a second. The agencies and offices under this team include ServeDC, which is the Mayor's Office on Volunteerism and Partnerships, the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, the Mayor's Office of Returning Citizen Affairs, and the Mayor's Office on Women's Policy and Initiatives. This new structure enhances collaboration across offices, reduces duplication of efforts, and ensures that community engagement remains a core of the Executive Office of the Mayor. So I'd like to clarify what looks like a $5 million enhancement included in the community partnerships budget line. This amount is not new funding, but rather a consolidation of the existing grant dollars from the various agencies. It also includes the transfer of 6 FTEs who manage those grants into that community partnerships line. This accounting adjustment is intended to streamline the management of grant programs and does not represent an increase in total resources available. In fact, the same amounts that have been available to each community will still continue to be available. I talked about this a little bit in my previous hearing, but we'll do a better job in next year's budget to make sure that there's a line attributed to each of those offices. Those offices are not going away. Those grant programs are not going away. In fact, I think the money will go further with this coordinated approach. So I'll say it 50 times today. I can't wait. It's an administrative realignment. That's simply all it is, that consolidates some of the management responsibilities under community partnerships for greater efficiency and coordination, but doesn't take away anything from the cultural competencies of these teams. So in that proposed restructuring, I also want to make sure that we don't forget to add the Mayor's Office of the Deaf, Deafblind, and Hard of Hearing will move to the Department of Disability Services. This transition reflects the district's commitment to integrating services for residents with disabilities into a single specialized agency that's best equipped to provide direct support and advocacy. So I think this will actually enhance service coordination, improve access to resources, and ensure that the unique needs of the deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing communities are met within a comprehensive disability services framework. This move aligns with best practices in disability policy and positions DDS to more effectively champion the rights and inclusion of these residents. So that said, Chairperson Bonds and members of the committee, the FY25 supplemental and FY26 budgets reflect Mayor Bowser's commitment to a modern, responsive, and effective government, one that's prepared to meet the needs of our residents while also investing in the district's future. The refinements to the Executive Office of the Mayor and the Community Affairs offices are designed to support the delivery of results for our residents and businesses while aligning with the Mayor's core priorities: education, clean and safe neighborhoods, economic growth. So we look forward to working closely with this committee as you consider these proposals. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that testimony and for making a very important point clear. We will also champion it resoundingly so that everyone understands that this is about efficiency and not about demolishing anything whatsoever. This is really a testament, quite honestly, to the effectiveness of these committees and offices and the pulling together of the individuals who participate and participate strongly throughout our community. So this sounds really kind of exciting. Now we have to manage it. And how do we do that? And that's the big deal before us. Sounds like you now have at least a good 25 or 30 additional staffers that are right under your preview that you will almost like having a classroom of individuals. So tell us a little bit of how the physical structure will change. Will there be consolidation of office space or desk use? I think the public would want to understand that. Do they come to the same locations that they are familiar with when they want to go to LGBTQ as an example, or to women's policy, or is there some reorganization of the overall structure?
So in terms of physical location of the offices that report into the Executive Office of the Mayor, those same offices will continue to report into the Executive Office of the Mayor in FY26 in this proposal. And those offices and those directors will stay in the same locations that they've been for a number of years. I think a few of them have moved recently, but they'll all be in the same locations that they're in today.
All right, and will there be an updated organizational chart that would show the new configuration?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you, thank you. One of the excitements that the public probably has is understanding the Office of Community Relations and Services, not just the work that the ward representations undertake, but now you're adding the religious affairs, clean city under that banner, and nightlife and culture. How do you see that working on an issue, let's say in my ward, Ward 5? Would that be any change in the methodology that you use? I recall that I can call on ward representative, Wendy knows this best, for almost anything and get a solution. Would the public continue to use staff in the same manner?
Yes, Councilmember. I think
Okay.
the shortest answer is yes. The longer answer is what we are proposing here is really what we've seen already work. Quite honestly, when a Mocrs is asked to solve a tough issue in a ward like Ward 5, there's typically a residential issue that is conflicting with a business interest. That is usually where you see the sort of the biggest issue. And in truth, on that same block, you might have a church, you might have a number of businesses, and you might have some residential units. Making sure that all of those folks can come together in a coordinated manner and solve big problems. That's what Mocrs have been all about for 2 decades. I don't know the exact number of years, but I should find out. And the truth is, what this does is simply aligns the teams that already work together quite closely under one management structure.
Thank you, thank you. That's very important. I'm going to turn to my colleague. I know have some, please, thank you.
Yeah, I'll have a few questions. Great to see you, Lindsay. A
Thank you.
lot of very talented people in the room. The Mocr program, Phil's great job over the years. Kendall in Ward 3, really fabulous job. And all kinds of talented people here. And I get it that sometimes it makes sense to reorganize things. One thing that we have an eye on is that often these agencies were created by statute. And so the reorganization, we wonder about the way in which the reorganization is being done. But let's talk about the substance of the reorganization just to make sure I understand it. So grant making comes under community partnerships now, is that right?
That's correct.
And so each of the agencies have people who are doing grants now. Do those folks migrate to another office where they're going to be doing grants?
That's right.
And are there any efficiencies that are achieved from that?
So many. If you think about it, right, just sort of practically speaking, we had 168 grants that the Executive Office of the Mayor's Community Affairs offices awarded last year. So those 168 grants went to, and I should actually have the unique number of people they went to, but for instance, 3 of those grant recipients received grants from 3 different offices. 4 different offices is what I should say. So 3 grant recipients received grants from 4 separate offices. 10 grant recipients last year received 3 different grants from those offices. 34 received 2 grants from those offices, and 34 received just 1 grant. So of the total number of recipients from last year, there were several that got multiple grants from different offices. I'm not saying that that needs to go away, but I think that what we could do is if everybody's looking at this together, what we might find is that we need more grants to go to women returning citizens. And all of a sudden, we're going to be able to target and think about that grant money that is already allocated. So we know the exact percentages that the council has allocated that grant money already to spend, and making sure that we're thinking about the collaboration.
When I was thinking about efficiencies, I was wondering in terms of staffing, honestly, because if everybody's under the same roof, then maybe there's efficiencies in staffing. And so on the one side, there's those efficiencies that might be achieved, but it sounds like the only positions that are going away are vacancies at this point.
That's right.
Although it may be that over time, as you see attrition, there could be savings in that way.
That's right. But we'll only find that out as we work our way through it. And one of the things that I pride myself on serving in the Bowser administration is that the mayor has found a way to make sure that we don't have widespread rifts. We are making sure that we're continuing to employ all the community affairs team members that have been so instrumental in serving the district.
Okay, and then if I'm understanding it correctly, there's $5 million in the pot for grants, but that looks like less. You made it sound like it's the same number of dollars, but if I looked at the grants for all of the different agencies, you're saying they'll add up to 5 million or lower?
A little lower, but the only thing that's missing is IJLS. That's $3.5 million that went to the Department of Human Services. They're going to help us get that money out to the same DC Values network that we've always worked with.
Okay, so because it didn't add up to me, but that's why it didn't
Yep.
add up, because a big chunk gets moved out.
Yep.
And then what about the?
Just one grant program gets moved out.
I hear you,
Yep.
and I understand there's a reason for
Yep.
why you would move that out. I'm just trying to make
Yep.
sense of the numbers in my own mind.
Yep.
And then in terms of the grant decisions, what role will the directors, and what will the title of the folks who have served as director be, and what role will they play? Because, part of the idea is, the core of the idea is these are folks who are the closest to each of these different communities. What role will they play in that process?
Same role they have traditionally played. So they'll still be directors of the offices, and the offices will still have the same names. A budget document doesn't change that. We didn't change anything in statute, you mentioned that before, that would get rid of the office or change their function. The only thing that we did was say, hey, let's make sure that grants are consolidated. That director will still have a direct role in making sure that they're helping us put together the documentation about what we're going to focus that grant program on, and still have the same type of engagement with the community before a grant is announced.
And what about public affairs officers, event planners? How's that going to be dealt with? Because it might be that in each of the agencies they had that, but now will that be consolidated, or will that stay at home? Because it sounds like offices don't change, other than the grants folks who will come together. Everybody else will stay in the same place. But how about event planning and public affairs?
Sure. I think the other thing that I wanted to say, and I should have said it in the last answer, is that the thing that excites me the most about this is we're consolidating the grants, but we're doing so under the arm of the government, that's ServDC, that has traditionally been responsible for engaging our philanthropic community. What I'd love to see happen, and can't believe I'm about to say this on the record because it might not happen, but what I'd love to see happen is that we come up with a plan where we're engaging our philanthropic community, and we're almost matching our grant dollars, dollar for dollar, with money that comes from outside of the government. That would be tremendous. And then we could just further amplify the power of what that dollar serves. So that's my hope. I want to say that. Secondly, in terms of other efficiencies, yeah, I think we're going to find some. I think that's what's most exciting about this. There might not need to be the same function for every single office. Maybe they team together differently so that they're able to do even more on social media. They're able to put together an even more thoughtful engagement event. I think a lot of us, if you look at the dollar amounts, and I was going to try to get to that, in 2025, MOLA represents 20% of the grants that go out the door. They have the biggest team. They have this like engine that creates events. I know that they can help the other agencies. And in fact, by the mayor appointing Jackie Reyes as Director of Community Affairs, we've all been able to learn a lot about the engine that Jackie built at the Mayor's Office of Latino Affairs that has allowed for some of these other cultural affairs offices to thrive. And so that type of continuous coordination and collaboration will get even tighter.
So I hear you, and I hear you that you're not necessarily sure what the efficiencies are going to be, but you're hopeful that there will be efficiencies. I will say, using MOLA, and not to have a favorite child in this situation, but just in the moment that we are in, the idea, I hope that we are celebrating our Latin American community really vigorously, and you'd hate to see any diminution in that in this current environment. So you described it as an engine. I really want to see that engine continue to hum in this reorganization. Mocp also, but I just in this. I want the Caribbean Festival back.
We don't have favorite children. We love all of our communities. And actually, you just named three, if I think about the skills and the strengths of those directors and those teams, they all bring something different and unique to the party that allows us to kind of move and engage in different ways. It's really the power of this team, this collective team behind us that allows us to keep innovating, right? It's been 10 years of the mayor, sort of a decade of delivering. We've really sharpened our engagement tools over time. And this, I think, is just a reflection of making sure that's even sharper going into the 11th year.
I mean, aren't you great that you could show your decade of delivering on the TV? One of the things that's distinctive in lots of the settings is language access. And how are you thinking about dealing with access to language supports and things like that?
I would say the same way that we always have, and that just keeps getting more and more. That just kind of keeps tightening up every single year. I think the proudest I am of our language access coordinators is during emergencies. When we've got a crisis and we need to communicate, there's no team that is faster at translating critical information than the language access coordinators in the current Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. Jackie Reyes is, if you haven't ever had the pleasure of dealing with Jackie Reyes, she's one of the fastest working people in the city. When there's an emergency, not only is she either the first to the scene or the first to know about it, she's also making sure that her team is ready to go. So whether that's a water emergency, whether that's a snow emergency, they're on it. And that just keeps getting tighter and tighter, actually, with the use of technology.
Okay, I mean, there is language access in the setting of an emergency, but there's all different kinds of ways in which language access is provided. And I don't know whether you're thinking about consolidating that or that stays in each of the individual offices.
Stays in each of the individual offices. If we find ways that works even better, if we consolidate one or two, great, but that is not the plan right now.
All right, well, I have gone over and I'll wait and do one more round. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Can you give us a few more efficiencies that you expect to realize with this realignment?
I think bottom line, the efficiencies that we are going to benefit from are ones that have already started to form. We work together with these different teams already. And so this just really kind of codifies in the budget how our teams work together and how we'll continue to work together. The grant obviously is slightly different, but I do think that that means that not only will we be able to kind of go after private dollars to help make sure that some of these programs are sustained over time so that it doesn't become a budget issue every year of whether or not we get to keep that $5 million whole. But instead, we're going to try to use that to leverage private investments to even expand our reach. And I think that's probably the most exciting efficiency that I see here.
And so are some of the purposes included trying to reach more individuals that are within these offices? For instance, looking at the Office of Religious Affairs, does that mean that we're going to try and get more of that religious community engaged when we do the, community engagement, when we involve the religious community in activities?
For sure. And I think that's sort of that block by block approach that Mocrs have championed over the past 2 decades. Churches and faith institutions are actually physical parts of communities, and making sure that they're active in those communities, connected to those communities, whether they're businesses or residents, is critical. And I think actually it's sort of a little bit of a reset after COVID, right? We're welcoming people back into those faith institutions and reconnecting them with the neighbors that they maybe lost touch with or had to think about virtually. And now they're sort of back on the block. I think this organization change really reflects kind of what our communities need right now.
All right, I think I'm hearing that if I'm a Moca and I'm in a neighborhood heavily Spanish speaking, and a lot of opinionated women that are telling their stories about how the neighborhood needs to change, that I would be able to call on the agencies that have the discipline for those particular subject matter to make a more holistic approach to engaging that community for the benefit of the whole city.
So my hope is that there's no wrong door. When you call somebody in the mayor's office, you're going to be routed to the person that's going to be able to solve your issue, address your concern, help you with your program, help you think through how to navigate whatever you're trying to kind of get done. So that is no wrong door has always been my motto. I think Jackie and I have worked together for 10 years now, and that is sort of the Bowser administration way. It doesn't matter who comes to you and what they're coming to you with, you're going to help them find that answer. And that's our entire team. We have about 175 people in the executive office of the mayor, plus the office of the secretary. That's what we do. And that is our whole intent of waking up and coming to work every day. Jackie, anything else you want to say?
Yes. Thank you, Chairwoman and Ward 3 Councilmember Fruman. I am very, when I tell you that we have reached out more than 300,000 residents with the special interest community. In the back of me, you'll see all my directors who are very committed to giving quality service to the most underprivileged communities in the District of Columbia. For 10 years, we have, and I always take pride that when I was at Office on Latino Affairs Director, I used to say that if the mayor breathes, her second breath gotta be in Spanish. Now, her second breath gotta be in all the 14 agencies behind me, because everybody that comes into the doors, they know that we'll get a quality of service. I just want to tell you, and I'll address you for the people that are here, that commitment has not changed. In COVID, we came out and we came out strong, and we deliver, and we are gonna keep delivering for everybody that is under our cluster, in all 8 wards. And yes, Fruman, Latinos are in every single ward, but women are in every single ward. LGBTQ are in a single ward, and veterans are in every single ward. In every single ward. So I just want to make sure, Returning Affairs, Office of Returning Affairs Director and Caribbean Affairs Director, they always come out and we'll make sure that we are voicing in the voice that the administration will feel. So feel free to call us 24/7 because DC is home of 180 countries. And I'll repeat that again, because people have licenses with different, from different backgrounds. And Mayor Bowser's have always take pride in saying, and I would like to also shout out to our LGBTQ affairs. He was leading the LGBT Pride, World Pride, but all of the offices were pushing behind him. So just think about like when somebody's taking the lead on something, other offices and Mocrs are leading behind with that force. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that services are the same, right? And if they're not, come and tell us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. You've kind of wrapped it up into a nice package for us. And I do believe in the power of many trying to make a difference. So I have no issue there. I wondered if you could, or if you have decided yet, what would be maybe the three major projects that you would work on. Almost every year there are projects that we can look forward to, and just was curious because we heard a lot from our public witnesses about youth, assisting our youth, getting them engaged. If my mom were here, she would say getting them on the right path, that kind. So you hear that in community. And I was just wondering if that would be one of the areas that you're concerned with. Likewise, what's dear to my heart are our seniors. If there's any real, because seniors fit not only in every 180, countries, but certainly in every discipline that we can imagine. And I just wondered if those populations have anything to do with what you're going to be doing as you aim to be more efficient and therefore more effective.
I think the best way to answer that question is like the number of projects that this team takes on varies on a daily basis, maybe even an hourly basis. But the focus will no doubt be on education, making sure that we're serving that youth population that you talked about, clean and safe communities, and economic growth. And those are the three areas that all things that we focus on will reflect. I think the only other thing to say to that is seniors, our seasoned seniors, they're our best residents, right? Not only do they know exactly what's going on in their communities, they're happy to voice their concerns, and they're more than happy to help volunteer to sort of steer the ship in the right direction. And so I think if I look around basically every ward, there's not a ward that I wouldn't say that our seasoned seniors are not sort of front and center and helping us make sure that we're delivering on what residents expect.
I appreciate that because I certainly see our senior community being an integral part of, if you talk about clean and safe, well, that's to their heart. Beautification, the cleanup, and certainly if you want to know who's doing what in a neighborhood, the seniors can pretty much tell you what's going on in a block. So I'm hoping that there'll be a strong marriage with what some of the things that DACL does, but certainly with all of my colleagues here at the council. We all have seniors, and that we care about, and want to make sure that we involve them, because I see that as a way of reaching those that do not necessarily come out to the congregate meal sites, etc. They are there in community. So if we can find a way, strikes their interest, tulips all over the place, roses all over, whatever you want to do, but certainly trying to engage them, that would help us with this issue of isolation.
No, I appreciate that. And I know that that's an issue that's near and dear to your heart, Councilmember. And so it is definitely something that we're focused on. I think one thing I'd I'm going to turn it over to Phil real fast, is, Phil Thomas has not only been a Ward 3 Mocrs for the mayor, but also took the directorship of Clean City to a whole different level. The number of times that he's walked this city, and also the number of times he's walked Ward 3, which is where a lot of our seniors are too. And he has an acute awareness to the issue that you're talking about. And I know that he'll have even more to say, but all of that has made him kind of one of the best Mocrs directors that I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of them, and prepared for helping think through this kind of repositioning. Anything else you want to add?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Bonds and Councilmember Fruman. That's a great segue to talk about the Ward 5 roll-off day for our seniors, that we actually come to their house and pick up their items. It's on July 26th. It's their 4th annual Ward 5 roll-off day. We partner with DACL. DACL comes out as well, and a whole heap of other agencies to do a resource fair, but we also pick up bulk items for our senior citizens that reach out to North Michigan Park Civic Association. And our Ward 5 Mocrs will come pick up their items to put it in the roll-off bin. So we look out for our seniors in the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services.
I'm glad to hear you're doing that again. I hope you could also target Ward 7. We get a number of calls. Now, of course, that's those big items. Big items, as you know, the dumping of tires, anything along the fringe of our city becomes a dump because it's coming in from other parts, not from us here in DC, but the suburban communities. They think they can put it where they see grass growing tall or something like that.
Absolutely, Chairman, and that's a good flag, as our next roll-off day is in Ward 7 next week on June 28th. And thanks for our Clean City Director, Maria Berry, and that's going to be at Francis Gregory Library at 3660 Alabama Avenue from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. For our Ward 7 population, for our Ward 7 residents and seniors and our youth, to bring out their bulk items, and we'll come pick them up as well and put them in the roll-off bin.
That's great. Thank you very much for that. It's kind of hard to zero in on your budget when you have this consolidation, which is what I'm trying to look at it in the new mirror. But I did want to know if there are, you've heard a little bit from public witnesses today, and I'm hearing that there is a need for more grant money. And I just wondered if collectively you have identified some areas where we need more resources going into community, and if we could have some conversation about that. Because we do a lot with things in our government, but I think that the mayor is focused this year definitely on humankind. What is it that we must do to keep our community moving forward? And just wondered if you thought about that.
Yeah, and I do think, again, that's sort of one of the things that I'm super excited about in this new structure, and that is the fact that we will consolidate grant programs and now be able to be really focused on what we need some of our philanthropic partners to think about. That's how I think we amplify and expand the number of grant programs that we're able to put out there. In fact, because of the climate that we're in, I think we're seeing more and more private sector entities come forward to say, what can we do? And now we just need to make sure that we're channeling them to get resources, whether it's volunteers or so people or dollars to the right communities. And this will allow us to have that really thoughtful view of the landscape and where we need that.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment. customarily, I would have been more excited if you had said, oh, yes, we're, maybe there is some loose dollars somewhere in our government, but you took the very smart approach, and that is to say, let's challenge the entire community because you represent the entire community. So thank you for that. I'll turn to my colleague. He has another question or two.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Bonds. I will say, I feel like you chastised me for having a favorite child, and then you said the seniors were your favorite residents. So, and I, I will agree, if you don't love Phil Thomas, you have a heart of stone. So, on grant making, so, we have folks, grantees here, and the world changed. You may feel like it changed more on paper than in practice, but can you talk to me about what the plan is for soliciting grants and getting grants out the door in FY26? Because I'm sure there's a lot of folks who are sitting on the edge of their chair about that.
Yep, you won't see a lot of difference. The issue will just be timing. And the sort of reason for that timing is predominantly because of the congressional interference in our continuing resolution language that made us sort of freeze our dollars to kind of figure out what we were cutting and what we weren't. And so we just made sure that we were giving everybody the most the most flexibility in how we were addressing FY25, and also making sure that you guys had the time to review FY26. If there's anything that you're planning on changing before we get to that second vote on July 28th, we want to make sure that you have ultimate flexibility there. And so then you'll see us go through the regular grant process.
Oh, I see. So in another year, if it weren't for all the other twists and turns of this budget, might have happened in June, but now it's likely that the process starts in August perhaps. And so it's a little slower, not because of your restructuring, but because of other things.
We'll make sure to get an email out to all of our communities actually this week to make sure that they know. I believe that that's already been communicated, but we'll continue to make sure that we're over communicating.
All right. One of the things, and just a curiosity, Emancipation Day is in cultural affairs, or where is it and why is it there?
Emancipation Day is really in 3 places in the budget. OCTFME has a little bit of it. We've got it, I think, in cultural affairs, that commission of fathers, men and boys, and African American affairs. And then there's a third place that I'm blanking on, but Steve would tell me. Yeah, I said, Office of the Secretary. Sorry, those are the 3 places. Yep.
But it's partly here too,
Yep.
right? Yeah,
Yep.
I see. I mean, it's a little like the GoGo Fund, which has Office Cable Television has some, libraries have some, so it's like that. Okay.
It's a full team effort to put on Emancipation Day every year.
I think I don't know what the plan is here, whether or not this is the panel or whether the directors of the different offices will be testifying as well.
This is the panel.
This is the panel. Okay. Well, here we are, and I hope it works. And I do hope that the different offices, while they may not nominally be independent in the same way, will have the ability to exercise pretty independently and be as active as in the past in reaching and connecting with their communities. Because I think in some sense, I don't think it was broken. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that doesn't mean that a reorganization can't make it better. We just don't want things to blur. We want it, the quilt is beautiful, and I want the quilt.
I think it's worth pointing out that all of these offices were start with mayor's office on, and they will continue to. These offices all reported to the mayor previously, and they will continue to report to the mayor. And their independence, that's a interesting conversation I think we could have. They're all functions of the executive office of the mayor, and always have been and will continue to be.
And will the names stay the same?
The names will stay the same.
All right, with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Fruman. I just have one question that seems to be, where is returning citizens?
The Mayor's Office of Returning Citizen Affairs is in the community partnerships bucket. Their FTEs, their NPS, their non-personnel services budget, all of that is in that bucket.
All right, thank you very much.
And I think Jackie had one additional
Okay, all right,
thing to
thanks
put on the
for that.
record in regards to events.
Yes. There you go.
Sorry,
Mm.
sorry. And one thing that I feel proud of all of my offices is that we are all in 8 wards. And for the past year, we have been, like you said, in every office. And I want to say that in all of the offices, we have like hallmark events that we're gonna keep, and we come together as one unit. Like we're gonna have the African Affairs office, and for African Month, we will have our soccer tournament at Dunbar High School that you all invited. If you have your soccer skills, you can come on and show that. We won't give you any extra food so you can run, but we all come and we join. We join with MPD and Asian Pacific Islander. Is our second annual night Easter market. Night market that it was a hit last year, so we're gonna keep on doing that. Fiesta DC, I don't know if you know that we broke a world record last year with the biggest pupusa. So we brought that home. You saw that, right? And that is a hallmark with Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. And I know, council member, you talk about the festival, but Director Natalie Snyder, she had done 2 festivals within her tenure, so it keeps growing attention. So please, we'll also invite you. We are in all awards. What else would I mean? Serve DC. One thing that about Serve DC and the mayor, I want to give credit to. Give credit to her that she wants seniors. Not a special child, but we are going to kick off a special interest volunteerism. We know that we have cleaned up the snow for seniors, but now Director Scott wants to go out and garden for spring, then summer grass cutting, and then leaf season. So they can break the leaves and have it that when DPW pass around, they will have something. And Returning Citizen Director Lamont Carey did something very beautiful about the Returning Home Expo, first ever. And I was very proud of him that people felt unique. So we, at the Mayor's Office on Community Affairs and Culture and Partnership, we make sure that we meeting people where they are. So I just want to make sure that you're following us, 300,000 people that we have covering on social media and newsletters. They are out every month. So please follow us. And if you want to reach us, please come. We are in 4 locations, 899 North Capitol. That's our new home for the cultural offices, Latino Affairs, Asian LGBTQ, African Affairs are there. And here in the Wilson Building, we have offices, the Caribbean Affairs here on the 1st floor, G level. Women's policy is here also, and my office is here also. And I share in Shannon Place. We have Serve DC, 441, Asian Pacific Islanders, and Veterans Affairs. I think my memory is still right. But we are in different parts of the city, meeting people where they are.
Thank you for passing that information on. I'm sure people who are familiar with one office are not aware that there may be 3 other offices, because you're telling us now that you can go, you're a citizen, you're someone here in DC, you're confused, you don't know where to go, you can go to any one of these offices and they'll be instantly connected to the service needs that they are requesting. So that sounds like a very good thing. Thank you for that. I'm going to, do you have any other questions?
I do not.
All right. I think it's now going on 5 o'clock, and I know you've been here all day, and you know, let's have mercy and move forward. And I tell you why, because you know, this is new. We're going to see how it works. And most importantly, I think it gives all of us, at least, you know, at the council level, an opportunity to, you know, taste a little bit of everything, because we tend to be so very focused within our committee, and we forget that there is another part of the district out there. And I know Matt, he tends to get around a little more. He's been getting around a little more than I, but there was a time I did not miss a day for anything. And I'm coming back, so I'll have an opportunity. So I'm delighted to know that there is a lot of goodwill here, and that we're going to work to make it all work together. So I thank you very, very much. To public witnesses as well, thank you so very much for your testimony. And you have to have faith with me. We're going to make this work, right? This coming together. Yes. Yes. We have to be optimistic. That's our role here in the city. So thank you. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you.
All right. And so officially, I can conclude. The testimonies have provided much needed insight into the budget of this conglomerate of within the executive office of the mayor. And I hope we will have more understanding of the intent behind the reorganization as time moves forward. But I think efficiency is very important. The consolidation is very important at this time where we are in our journey here in the district. And so it's unique because we love being independent and saying, you know, this, and we still are independent. It's just that we're collectively independent is what I'm hearing today. So with that said, if the public has any thoughts or would like to submit written testimony regarding the performance of any of the agencies, please email it to ceal@dccouncil.gov, and that's CEAL@dccouncil.gov. The hearing record will close on Tuesday, July 1 at 5:30 p.m. And this concludes our hearing today. And with that, it is now 4. Is it 4 or 5? I can't say. 4:30. Okay, 4:39 p.m. Same day in which we started, June 17th, 2025, and we're adjourned.